George Orwell finished writing 1984 while he was dying. Tuberculosis. A remote cottage on a Scottish island. He could barely hold the typewriter keys down. And yet, he kept writing. Not because he wanted to tell a story. Because he had seen something. Something so precise about how power actually works, that he couldn't die without putting it into words. Most people read 1984 as a warning about government. They were wrong. It was a warning about you. What I'm going to show you in this video is not a book analysis. It's a map. A map of the exact psychological mechanisms that Orwell described in 1984. Mechanisms that are not fictional, not historical, and not distant. They are operating inside your mind, right now. And by the time this video ends, you will not be able to unsee them. 1984 was published in 1949. Orwell had just watched the world survive one totalitarian nightmare, Nazi Germany, only to watch another one consolidate its grip on half the planet, Soviet Stalinism. He wasn't imagining a distant future. He was describing what he had already witnessed, and extrapolating it forward with terrifying precision. The world he created, Oceania, runs on a system called INGSOC, English socialism, a regime that controls not just behavior, but thought itself. The protagonist, Winston Smith, works for the Ministry of Truth. His literal job is to rewrite historical records, so that whatever the party says today has always been true. Whatever they said yesterday that now contradicts today, it never happened. The records are changed. The past is erased. Winston is a man with a dangerous habit. He remembers. And in Oceania, memory is a crime. Now, here is where most analyses stop. They say this is about authoritarian governments, about censorship, about surveillance states. And they miss the deeper, more disturbing point entirely. Orwell wasn't only describing a political system. He was describing a psychological one. And that psychological system, every single mechanism of it, exists in the world you are living in today. The most important concept in all of 1984 is not Big Brother. It's not the telescreen. It's not even the thought police. It's a single word Orwell invented. Doublethink. He defines it like this: the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously, and accepting both of them. Read that again. Two contradictory beliefs. At the same time, both accepted as true. Orwell describes it as the ultimate form of psychological control, because it doesn't require external force. It doesn't need a guard with a gun. Once a person has internalized doublethink, they police themselves. They don't even experience a contradiction. The tension simply dissolves. Now ask yourself this. Have you ever believed that social media is making you miserable and still opened the app 3 minutes later? Have you ever known that a relationship was bad for you and stayed in it anyway, while simultaneously telling yourself you were fine? Have you ever watched the news, felt genuinely afraid, and then gone on with your day as though nothing was wrong? Because what else are you going to do? That's doublethink. Not the government's version. Yours. The modern world didn't create it deliberately, but it exploits it constantly. Every algorithm, every notification, every piece of content designed to trigger an emotional reaction and then leave you wanting more. It runs on your brain's capacity for doublethink. You feel used. You keep scrolling. Both are true. You hold them simultaneously. Orwell saw this. He saw that the most powerful form of control isn't a cage. It's the belief, held genuinely, without irony, that you are free, while inside one. In the Ministry of Truth, there is a slot in every desk called the memory hole. When a document needs to be erased, you drop it in. It travels down a tube into a furnace. It ceases to exist. The record is gone. And because the record is gone, the event it described is gone. History is rewritten in real time, constantly, invisibly. Winston's job is to feed the memory hole all day, every day. What Orwell understood is that memory is not a recording. It's a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, you are not replaying it. You are rebuilding it from fragments, filtered through who you are now, what you believe now, what you need to be true now. And those reconstructions can be manipulated. Not just by governments, by the people around you, by the media you consume, by your own mind, which will quietly revise the past to protect your current identity. Think about a relationship that ended badly, a friendship that fell apart, a decision you regret. If you go back and look at the actual record, old messages, photos, your journal if you kept one, you will almost certainly find a version of events that doesn't match the one in your head. Because your memory hole has been running. Quietly, automatically, protecting the story you need to tell about yourself. This is not a flaw. It's a feature of human psychology. But it is also, exactly as Orwell described, a mechanism of control. When you cannot trust your own memory, you become dependent on external authorities to tell you what happened and what it meant. That's the point. That has always been the point. Every day in Oceania, citizens are required to participate in the 2 minutes hate. A face appears on a screen, an enemy of the party. And for 2 minutes, everyone in the room screams, throws things, convulses with rage. Then it ends. And they return to their work. Calm, productive, compliant. When I first read this, I thought it was grotesque, absurdly theatrical, the kind of thing that could never be normalized. And then I opened Twitter. The 2 minutes hate is not 2 minutes. It runs all day. And it's not mandatory. You choose it. You seek it out. Because it feels like something. Orwell understood something that modern neuroscience has since confirmed. Shared outrage creates social bonding. When you hate something together, you feel closer to the people hating it alongside you. The group becomes real. The enemy becomes the glue. And here is the most disturbing part. In 1984, the specific content of the hate doesn't matter. What matters is the emotional experience of it. Today, you hate Emmanuel Goldstein. Tomorrow, you hate someone else. The party doesn't care who. It just needs you to hate. Regularly, intensely, and in a direction they control. Look at the media landscape right now. Not at any particular outlet or side, at the structure of it. Ask yourself, what percentage of the content you consume is designed to make you feel right, and someone else wrong? What percentage is designed to generate heat without producing light? And then ask, who benefits from your daily outrage? Not you. The platforms that harvest your attention do. The politicians who need enemies do. The content creators who have learned that anger drives clicks do. Your rage is a resource being mined. Orwell saw it. He just thought it would look more dramatic than a phone screen. The final and most chilling mechanism in 1984 is Newspeak. The party is systematically reducing the English language. Every year, fewer words. Every year, a narrower vocabulary. The goal is not efficiency. The goal is to make thought crime impossible. Orwell explains it through a character named Syme, a lexicographer working on the Newspeak dictionary. Don't you see that the whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought? In the end, we shall make thought crime literally impossible, because there will be no words in which to express it. Think about what this means. If you have no word for a feeling, you cannot articulate that feeling. If you cannot articulate it, you cannot examine it. If you cannot examine it, you cannot challenge anything that causes it. You just feel vaguely wrong and move on. Now think about the concepts we have lost the language for in modern life. We no longer have a widely shared vocabulary for loneliness that isn't pathologized, for grief that lasts longer than is convenient, for the specific kind of alienation that comes from living a life organized around consumption rather than meaning. We have words for the symptoms: anxiety, depression, burnout, but not for the causes. Not precise ones, not ones that point outward at systems, rather than inward at individuals. When your only word for suffering is a clinical diagnosis, the only solution you can conceive of is a clinical treatment. The system doesn't have to silence you. It just has to ensure that the words you'd need to indict it are ones you never learned. Orwell called this Newspeak. We call it normal. So what do you do with this? I'm not going to tell you to delete your apps, move off the grid, or distrust every institution. That's not what Orwell was prescribing either. Winston Smith's error wasn't that he identified the system. It was that he believed loving one other person, Julia, was enough of a resistance on its own. It wasn't. And Orwell wanted you to know why. Private rebellion, without the language and the community to sustain it, always gets absorbed. What Orwell was pointing toward, and what I think is the real lesson of 1984, is that consciousness precedes everything. You cannot resist what you cannot see. And you cannot see what you have been conditioned to accept as background. The first act of resistance is not political. It's not even social. It's perceptual. It's the decision to notice the doublethink you're holding. To ask who benefits from your outrage before you feel it. To sit with the discomfort of a memory that doesn't match the story you've been telling. To find words. Precise, honest words for what you're actually experiencing. This is what Winston was trying to do in his diary. In secret, by candlelight. He wasn't writing to change the world. He was writing to stay real. That impulse, the impulse toward clarity, toward honesty, toward naming things as they actually are. That is not a political act. It is a human one. And it is the one thing the system, in every era and every form, has always needed to suppress. Orwell didn't write 1984 because he thought we were doomed. He wrote it because he thought we could still see. The question is whether we choose to. The most dangerous sentence in 1984 is not, "Big Brother is watching you." It's 4 words. Near the end of the book. After everything Winston goes through. After all of it. He loved Big Brother. That's the real warning. Not that they'll force you to comply. That they'll make you want to. If that landed somewhere in you. The video on Dostoevsky is next. He went further than Orwell. And he did it 100 years earlier. Like this video if it made you think. Subscribe if you want to keep thinking. I'll see you in the next one.